Welcome to In Their Own Words. I'm your host, Kim Ancotis, and joining me today is Jodi Clock. Jodi's the author of Navigating the Eldercare Journey Without Going Broke. Jodi, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
Well, tell me a little bit about what led you to write this book and based on your experience in this business.
Listen, that's a great question, and a lot of people have asked me that of late. And quite frankly, the reason I wrote this book is, as you know, my husband Dale has had a family funeral home for over 115 years. And many times families come in to prearrange and pre-fund their funeral only to do it when they're at a Medicaid spend down before they go into a nursing home, or they're faced with looking at the potential of going into a nursing home. And when they do, they say, my attorney or my caseworker says I had to spend down. And I sat there and saw so many good people with a lot of misinformation. So by the time they sat down with us, they were practically penniless. And that was very needless. And in today's world, with all of the legal avenues out there and the different venues to reallocate your assets, it's just a shame to see people, quite frankly, die with nothing after they've worked their whole life.
So tell me, who are you really trying to reach with this book?
That is a loaded question. The person that I'm really trying to reach is myself, possibly even yourself. It's the adult child who will potentially be a caregiver, who has to look after their mother, father, or even grandfather. The other audience, or the secondary audience, if you will, would be those who are possibly widows or widowers, or a husband and wife who are facing this situation as we speak. They are in what we call a crisis moment.
Well, as a baby boomer, I think it's important to realize that there are many in my generation that are facing this on a personal level with our own families, as well as, with our spouses or, immediate families. And we really are not prepared to make the decisions or plan it out. So in communicating with our parents or the people, our loved ones, to make sure that there is a plan for the end-of-life decisions, that's really important. So let's illustrate a little bit how people can do this in a step-by-step manner in terms of really approaching from beginning to end some of the crucial decisions they're going to need to make.
Well, you said a lot. And what I heard out of that is that it's important, and someone like yourself facing that. I think what the biggest takeaway here is for our audience is to realize that you are not alone. This is not new or different. It's unique and different to you because you're going through it. But there's a lot of people out there who have been there and that can guide you through the process. And really, the key is to understand and recognize when to start. And I affectionately say that's when you have the talk. And when I say having the talk, I think you can recollect maybe sometimes you're looking at your mom or your dad and, well, they're all there. They may not be as sharp or as crisp with their memory or even their driving skills as they used to. And there comes that aha moment for all of us when all of a sudden we recognize that our parents are getting older and, maybe I better get a hold of this information now, find out just exactly what they have in place. And surprisingly enough, I think you'll find it was one of those things that they were going to get to and they never got around to it. So they had the best intentions, but they had a very sketchy plan because they relied on each other. And so, you've got mom and dad and they've been together for a long time, or not. They could have been a blended family like most of people today, but they're intuitively relying on each other. And so what we need to do is, number one, sit down, have that very uncomfortable conversation, make it as specific as we can do, and then also have that conversation in many different steps, because that can be overwhelming. A parent could perceive that as being insulting, or quite frankly, they could say it's none of your business. And so what you want to do is catch them when it's a good day, when maybe a situation is going on, and you might even want to relay that back into yourself. For instance, if you are renewing your auto insurance or possibly looking at long-term care insurance for yourself, you could, turn around and ask the question, Mom, do you and Dad happen to have long-term care insurance? Or, Mom, I remember hearing something about life insurance. Is that still in force? Or what was the name of that company? So just by engaging in little sound bites or little bits of dialogue, you can start to get a collection, and they may not even know what your ulterior motive is or what you're doing.
Well, parents bring you into the world, and on one level you're helping them to leave the world in a sound and in a good, healthy way. So by embracing them to understand where they stand, it helps you understand how to be prepared.
Correct.
And I think oftentimes we forget that spouses are not prepared to make the decisions because maybe the man has been the one who always had the money and made those decisions. But we may have to, in our role as children of a family, step into that place and help them make that decision together because they may not have the facility to do that.
Well, I think what you said is critical. And if I could point out to you, if I may, is what you said is we may have to make that decision. The key is it's their decision. You need to gently nudge or guide them to find out what the answers are. Because ultimately, it's not what you want to do, it's what they want to do. And your job is to see that their wishes are in play. And, that's your job to be their advocate. And I think that's the biggest thing. It's not about me, it's not about you. It's about doing the right thing with them, with their hard-earned money, and making sure they live out their golden years, quite frankly, the way they want to do it.
Well, that's really valuable advice. And I'd like to talk a little bit about some of the challenges we face in terms of making sure that there's hospice care, or we're looking for making sure people can be in their own homes and be in the comfort as they're going through difficult medical issues and or end-of-life decisions. Can we talk about how we need to also consult and be prepared for that?
Well, hospice is really the end of that journey. And so there's several things that have to happen before you even get there. And you have to have, well, I shouldn't say you have to, I recommend, and most attorneys or other professionals out there would recommend that you have several different advocacies or documents in place. But as you're talking about hospice, and by the way, before I even want to go any further, I need to say that all of the hospices in our area are fabulous. And what a great gift that is to be able to do, to let someone die in the comfort of their own home, and if they're not comfortable in their home, in a very safe, secure, and loved environment, something that's not sterile. So hospice, and many hospices are free. So, as we talk about asset reallocation, that's kind of a moot point, because what we're leading to is the journey from the assisted living to possibly the nursing home, and or bringing a caregiver into your home. And how do you pay for that? And then hospice comes in. It's a relatively short period of time for most. And then we're looking at a funeral. And once again, funerals, like anything else, they cost money. And while there's a wide range of that cost, you need to have that prepaid. And then that makes it easier so you can enact their wishes.
Well, thank you so much for that. And we're going to come back in a moment, so stay with us here on In Their Own Words.